Do you want to save $50,000 on your next property purchase here in Canada, and more specifically here in Vancouver? The Liberal Back program that came into fruition on May 27th is the program for that, but there's a catch. It needs to be in a certain date range, and it only applies to certain products. So in this video, we're going to go over what those certain products are, and most importantly, what that date is, so that you can save $50,000 on your next property purchase. So as we get into the program here, it's really important for you to understand who qualifies, how you qualify, how to get the maximum amount of dollars, because if you do not qualify, this can be a massive issue, especially for first-time homebuyers, where counting every penny is so important. If you do not qualify and you're banking on getting that exemption to make financing work, you could be in a position where you may not be able to close on your unit. And with a pre-sale project or a new construction, you could lose your deposit and that developer could sue you. So there can be some major consequences here. So we want to make sure that you fully understand this, and for you to also do your due diligence on the program to make sure that you are in compliance. So as we look at this first-time homebuyers GST rebate, we're going to go right off the top here. So you may be eligible for the rebate if you buy a new home from a builder, or you build or hire someone else to build a home on land you own or lease. So you can be a home builder and take advantage of this, or you buy shares of a cooperative housing corporation as well. You can see that to be considered a first-time home buyer, you have to be at least 18 years of age, be either a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, and this one's important here, not have lived in a home, whether in or outside Canada, that they owned or that their spouse or common law partner owned in the calendar year or in the 4 preceding calendar years. So you have to be very cognizant of the fact of what your live history is, and that you fall in line with this, because you don't want to be getting a letter in the mail from the CRA that you filed incorrectly, because not only are you going to be having to pay all that money back, but there's going to be interest on that as well. So as we work down here to really understand who gets the exemption, where can you maximize it, and it is at a tiered system. So you can see that together with the GST HST new housing rebate, the GST rebate would provide for a rebate of 100% of the GST on new homes valued up to $1 million. So if you want to get that full $50,000 rebate, that's only up to that $1 million mark. The GST rebate would then be phased out in a linear manner for new homes valued between $1 million and $1.5 million. So I should make a caveat. Valued up to $1 million isn't $1 million on the nose. It would be $999,999. When you go over into that 7-figure million up to 1.499999, then you're going to be in this tiered system. So how does that work? The GST rebate would be phased out in a linear manner for new homes valued between that 1 to 1.5 million. For example, under the linear phase out, a home valued at 1.25 million would be eligible for a 50% GST rebate, a rebate of up to $25,000. So as you can see in that example, between that 1 million and 1.5, you're right in the middle of 1.125 million. So you get 50% of that $50,000 rebate of $25,000. So if you bought something a little bit higher, 1.4 million, you're going to get a 20% discount, and that's going to be $10,000 on that rebate. So no matter where you fall in line, obviously if you get a little bit higher, it's going to be less, but you are getting a rebate in some capacity where many people did not have that. When I bought and took advantage of this, I had a maximum of that $750,000. Now, they had to make changes to this program because it just was not working in more of the major metropolitan areas here in Vancouver. So for first-time home buyers, not only can you take advantage of this, but property transfer tax, there's also an exemption for that as well, where you can take advantage of 2 of these programs. So despite what people are thinking, the government is trying to make policies here to make it a little bit easier for home buyers to get in. And I do think this program is fantastic. Keep in mind, in this framework, it is being applied to new builds. And I've put out videos in the past about the risk of buying new construction. So I think just because you're getting this rebate here, you still have to do your due diligence when buying pre-sale. You can check out my old video about why buying pre-construction now in Vancouver is a trap and something that I don't really advise any of my clients to do. In fact, the only time I would really think of someone buying a pre-construction right now or a new build is if you get a severe discount. I also did an old video about how in Surrey, a developer did a 25% one-day flash sale. So if you are keeping tabs on the new market and you're wanting to take advantage of an exemption, be patient, look if there's some massive discounts out there, and then take advantage. But just because you're getting this exemption doesn't mean that you should go up to a pre-sale center and just buy a unit just for the sake of saving that upwards of $50,000. You still need to be careful. affordable, and maybe this is more so of a program that you want to look at a little bit further down the line when the pre-construction market is a lot more stable. There are a couple things to keep in mind in terms of some outside dates. This is not a program that looks like it's going to be going on forever, but they have put some stipulations on that I want you to be aware of. So for new homes purchased from a builder, the stipulations are as follows. The agreement of purchase and sale for the home is entered into with the builder on or after that May 27, 2025 date and before 2031. So you can see that there's already about a 6-year window for this, and construction of the home begins before 2031 and the home is substantially completed before 2036. So they have put some outside dates for us to be aware of. I'm also hoping that with this program, if property pricing continues to increase, that this GST rebate should be on a tiered scale to help with first-time home buyers. I do think this program as a whole shouldn't be a standard across Canada. I think they should be taking the average of pricing in all segments, from condos, townhomes, the detached market in all the metropolitan areas, and come up with a fair equation that works well for all Canadians. Because if you're buying in the middle of Saskatchewan, where you could get a detached home for $400,000 and that is your forever home, we don't have those options here in Toronto, here in Vancouver, where you're looking at $1 million. You're looking at getting yourself into a condo in Vancouver, maybe an older townhouse in some of these other metropolitan areas east of Vancouver, but I think it should be based on a tiered system. But let's take what we have here. It's still something that you can save $50,000. That's a lot more than I saved on my purchase. So I'm glad to see that this program is having a little bit more of a forward focus, and they extended that price range up to that $1.5 million range. So that's what I have here for you to fully understand these GST exemptions if you're a first-time home buyer. And if you have any questions about your Vancouver home search, please book that discovery call with me. All my information's in the description below, and I'll see you on the next one.